Hello everyone, welcome to today's podcast, where we will tackle critical issues shaping the media landscape in the Philippines. Today, we're exploring the media state under Marcos's reign in the Philippines. How does President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. approach differ from his father, Ferdinand Marcos Sr., in terms of media freedom and governance? To guide our discussion, we're analyzing the article Marcos and the Media Platitudes. But what else again? By Jello Gonzalez.
So this analysis examines the finding station of media freedom and government relations under President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. We'll highlight the Philippines Press Freedom Global Rankings as well as the problems that journalists are facing, such as threats, red tagging, impunity, and media consolidation. Diving in together to unpack these issues with us and our guest speakers for today, Cici Mateo, Sean Manzano, and Aaron Magui. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello, good day to the both of you.
Yeah, thank you for having us today.
Our pleasure. To kick things off, I'd like to compare President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s administration to his father, Ferdinand Marcos Sr., and his predecessor, Rodrigo Duterte.
Well, if we look at it, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s governance is a far cry from his father's, which was more explicit and open with its use of killings, abductions, and strict media censorship that severely affected the entirety of journalism at the time. Additionally, President Marcos Jr. has been less hostile than Duterte, but however, after he got elected, he managed to block big media outlets and even harassed a Raptor campaign reporter, Lian Juan.
Yeah, exactly. But while the approach is entirely different, we still need to acknowledge that the issues that still persist today make press freedom fragile. It may not be as repressive as before, but there's still a control over media, especially in social media, alongside the alliances formed with media conglomerates.
First, the article discusses Marcos Jr.'s relatively amiable stance towards the media compared to his father and predecessor. However, it argues that this shift in tone has not related into tangible protections for journalists. For instance, despite the Philippines improving from 147 to 132nd in the World Press Freedom Index, many journalists still face threats.
This improvement in the index demonstrates potential progress and indicates that democratic norms are still in play. The ranking situation in the World Press Freedom Index is still improving even though many journalists are still facing threats. This means that the press freedom in the Philippines has been doing good, and the journalists have the freedom to write articles, especially about what's happening inside the country.
Yeah, the continued threats and the failure of the administration to adequately address these issues erases this progress. Media freedom cannot be about being ranked, but about what practical actions are taken on the rights of the media. There's still a threat to journalists since there have been three journalists recently killed. Ray Blanco in September 2022, Percival Perilapid Mabasa in October 2022, and Crescenciano Aldovino Bundukin in May 2023.
The article also highlights Marcos Jr. role in disinformation. Despite benefiting from a vast network of online propaganda during his campaign, he now advocates for media literacy campaign to combat fake news.
A media literacy initiative is essential in curbing misinformation, empowering the public to navigate complex information landscape. Programs addressing the issue can help individuals develop critical thinking skills, encouraging fact-checking and questioning narrative before accepting information as true. Proper implementation of disinformation policies could positively impact the country in terms of public discourse and strengthening democracy. Since information shapes how people respond, it is essential to regulate information and ensure that only factual content is being shared.
However, as Gonzalez 2023 aptly points out, this advocacy rings hollow without addressing the disinformation networks that supported his campaign. Genuine efforts require transparency and accountability. Without these two, the campaign alone may appear hypocritical and insincere. Additionally, people in vulnerable societies are mostly affected by disinformation. Despite these initiatives, they may still struggle access in engaging in media literacy programs due to factors such as poverty and no access to education.
So next, let's discuss red tagging and impunity. So there are reports that three journalists have been killed under Marcos Jr. administration, and red tagging remains the most common form of an attack on media practitioners.
Oh, the palace has time and again admitted to the worsening risks of attacks on journalists in the Philippines, with a focus on increased violence. It has also condemned in several press releases the brutal killing of journalist Percy Lapid, although it understands that the murder goes beyond the attack on a member of the media and brings about serious consequences on the lives of reporters. And furthermore, the palace has reasserted its stand that the growing number of journalist killings implies the necessity for better protection as well as for justice for these attacks continuously weakening press freedom in the Philippines.
Well, nonetheless, the appearance of an impunity society is created when the necessary steps to bring the offenders to justice are not taken. As previously noted by the Committee to Protect Journalists, the problem is frequently that in order to break such a loop, justice must be given promptly.
Finally, the article critiques media consolidation under political allies, such as House Speaker Martin Romualdez, who has expanded his influence in broadcast and print media.
Well, consolidation might streamline operations and modernize infrastructure, potentially improving media accessibility nationwide. And mergers between media organizations are predicted to improve management of these companies by reducing expenses resulting from repeated services. And organizations would be able to cut expenses and take more rapid, coordinated action thanks to these enhancements. Consolidation of resources may also accelerate infrastructure upgrading, especially for companies looking to finance and expand their networks. But lastly, this might result in increased media richness across the nation, which would help to guarantee that the content of the media reaches a large audience.
However, because the media is controlled by a small number of people, there is a significant risk that it will be tainted by political elites. It becomes difficult to obtain a wide range of opinions and point of view everywhere when information is controlled by a small number of people, which leads to a homogeneity of opinions. Since independent critical journalism aids in exposing the wrongdoings of power alliances, it is essential to democracy. However, when political corporations acquire headline media outlets, public trust increases, destroying the free press's monitoring role in promoting democratic values.
In conclusion, while Marcos Jr.'s administration presents a less combative front towards media and media consolidation persists, my recommendation: journalists should collaborate to amplify the truth. The government must prioritize concrete reforms to protect press freedom, and citizens like us must remain critical in the information we consume.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, let's stay informed and vigilant.
Audio